So I've spent quite a bit of time organizing some of the paperwork that I have, and picked a few select pieces. I've also found that I've had a lot of duplicates, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But I found this letter from John Deere Plow Company. So this would be the Columbus, Ohio branch. To all dealers, and this is dated August of 1934, and probably one of the coolest sentences I've seen in a while. Up here at the top, it says, in spite of the fact that the design and construction of the John Deere tractor is nearly as perfect as modern engineering can build, there will develop, because of improper adjustments or operating conditions beyond our control, certain complaints which must be handled. Next paragraph, we want to be sure that the proper remedies are applied. With that thought in mind, we propose from time to time during the year to outline definitive instructions for proper handling of any service requirements. This service letter will discuss the subject of oil consumption. The few complaints reported to us have not been at all difficult to correct. And it goes on for a couple pages. My interpretation of this is this was really kind of the first service bulletin supplied by Deere. I don't know if anybody else has, or service letter, I would say. I'm not sure if anybody else has any comments on that, but feel free. This is a really cool letter to have. I found it in a binder that I purchased a few years ago. And it's one of those things I've known about. I've had this letter for a while and I've known about it, but I've never really put much thought to it until I started the project that I've been working on the last couple of weeks, which is actually figuring out if I have all the service bulletins from Deere. So anyway, I'm going to go through some of the cooler service bulletins and how they changed over time. Basically, I have two 2-inch binders and then it's about 6 books. Service bulletins cover from 1935 is generally the consensus, from 1935 until 1965. And in 1965, the service bulletins were split between lawn and garden, ag industrial, and ag and implements, or implements and attachments, or something along those lines. But this is really, I don't know, like I said, I can't say definitively this is the first bulletin or instruction, service instructions, whatever you want to call it. But this is pretty early, and that lead sentence pretty much says it all. And I think that it shows you the Deere mindset from even the beginning, even back in 1934. So I'm going to run through some of the highlights of these as we move forward. They are in, what I have them in is I have them in sheet protectors, archival sheet protectors. So I'll have to, I'm not going to flip through it like I normally do. I'm actually going to have to stop, take them out of the sheet protectors, put them on the binder, and move forward like that. So there'll be breaks in this video, not just me flipping through page after page. So here's the next letter, and this is November of 1935 to J.M. Otterbacher and Sons, Wellington, Ohio. This is the Columbus, Ohio branch of the John Deere Plow Company. Dear sirs, in order to equip you and your servicemen with current information on John Deere tractors, and so that you can more efficiently take care of your customers, we're going to send you a copy of our Tractor Company Field Service Bulletin that is issued once each month. We feel that the John Deere tractors require very little service, but now and then little things come up that servicemen should know about, and during the past, we have been issuing regular bulletins to our servicemen, hoping they would pass this information along to dealers' men. Possibly, many times your men are not informed of these subjects as promptly as they should be. Consequently, we're going to add your name to our repair service bulletin list. We attached the last 2 service bulletins issued. So like I said, this is in November of 35. Now the 2 that they refer to are from our 53S, which is September 15th, 1935. These are too big to fit in sheet protectors. That's why they're just in the 3-ring binder. And that is why I chose a 3-ring binder, is because they were already punched for a 3-ring binder. So this is Field Service Bulletin 53S, October 15th, 1935. I don't have any earlier than this. Actually, I do. I have two from August. I have an August 15th. Yeah, you have to be really careful with this stuff. I have August 15th, 52R, which I guess that's a repair service bulletin, which this is what was sent to, the dealers men, or no, the servicemen, not to the dealers men, however you want to refer to that in the previous letter. So this is a repair service bulletin, so 52R, and then I have, here's another 52R. Oh, this is the third page of 52R. And just go through some parts and stuff there. Sorry, I have to be really, really careful with this stuff. Last thing I want to do is tear it. I wish I had some larger, I've searched for some larger archival level sheet protectors, and I just can't find any. But anyway, 53S, this is a field service bulletin. Why 53, I don't know. As far as I know, 53 was the first, or May of 53. I don't know. Anyway, there's some earlier ones that I haven't found yet. The next one's October 15th, 1935. Really cool display. John Deere, that's a D tractor with a number 5, 3-bottom, 14-inch plows on the south lawn, October 5th, 1935. So very cool to see that. Gets into specific of transmission oil and tractors shipped from the factory and importance of proper adjustment on the pulley brake on tractors, so on and so forth. And I'll go ahead and we'll skip forward a couple years. Actually, I decided we would, I just go to the next change in these. The paper got a little bit better in November of 1935. So the paper's a little bit more substantial. You don't see near the curling on the edges and things like that. But this is a field service bulletin, new service tools. Service tools have been pushed the entire time Deere has been around and had tractors. They've always talked about their service tools. We now know it as Service Guard. I've got a couple of those catalogs that I'll get to in a later video, but they are on the list to get to. I am just not making it very far before I find things that I want to talk about. So this is a letter. It is in a service bulletin. This is the January of 1936 bulletin. Now, I don't know if it originally came in this bulletin, but this is how I received it. It was in an original field service bulletin paperback folder. So I don't know if it came like this or if a dealer put it in there. But something that's really important to me as I go through a lot of this stuff and this paperwork is making sure that I take good notes on how it came in binders and bulletins and stuff, or binders, bulletins, stuff like that. Because order sometimes is very important. But this particular letter, Richwood Implement Company, Richwood, Ohio, Dear Sirs, this is a report of a Model B John Deere tractor that we bought and it was delivered on the 9th day of March 1935 and is doing the work on 230 acres of ground. Can you imagine working 230 acres with a John Deere B? Whew! I'll tell you what. Below is the work we did with this tractor the past year. Plowed 70 acres of ground, disc 15 acres for oats, disc 65 acres for corn with a 7-foot double disc, and disc 10 acres of corn 3 times over. Cultivated 65 acres of corn, and then cut 15 acres of oats with a 7-foot binder, and cut 7 acres of Timothy seed with the same 7-foot binder. Threshed the oats and Timothy seed with a 24x42 Huber separator in 8 hours, used 15 gallons of distillate and 1 quart of oil, and had plenty of power. This fall we plowed 20 acres of wheat and drug 20 acres on, and drug the 20 acres on 55 gallons of distillate, 2 quarts of oil. so on and so forth. Really cool. And then down here at the bottom, they actually show the cost of operating the machine, $61.28. I would just love to find 5 pounds of cup of grease for 11 cents. I would love to find 10 gallons of gas at 15 cents a piece for $1.50. Model B is a wonderful little tractor and had no trouble and had plenty of power and all the work we did with it, and very economical to run. Yours truly, H.A. Foose and Son by Edgar D. Foose. So kind of cool little letter. At least I think it's cool. Can't get out of the 30s. Now we have to remember that in the 30s it was a Great Depression, particularly in the Midwest. And here we have the July 15th, 1936 Field Service Bulletin. The above scene was taken from the Illinois State Fair of 1935. It brings to mind the fact that many John Deere tractors will be exhibited at state, county, and other fairs during the summer and early fall. Naturally, everyone is anxious that the best possible showing be made. So it's really cool to see. I mean, obviously you have, I guess that would be I guess that would be a D. Van Brunt drill, another D right here. You have some type of thresher or binder right there. It looks like you have a B. I would assume a B, maybe an A. No, B. B right there. Really cool John Deere sign, Let's sign right there. Oliver is in the back, or looks like Oliver right there. It's hard to see. I missed the B right there. Obviously, all the guys are in their straw hats. Just really cool to see that kind of stuff. You certainly don't see it now at fairs. You see much newer stuff. But just saw that picture was cool. So we moved ahead to 1940. So in this particular case, something I find really cool, the special letterhead makes a good beginning. The combination of pictures on the side and a personal message makes this 8.5 by 11 letterhead printed in 2 colors particularly effective in the first mailing in your campaign. So a lot of times when these service bulletins would focus on dealer service, either keeping the shop clean or parts I needed to keep around, but I would love to find a couple pages of that paper. That is very, very neat. Basically shows a rear differential, front end of a tractor, a piston, a service person. At the time, they would call them servicemen. But the really cool thing is the cost of sending out this letter is 2 cents a name. So I guess this includes everything: the letterhead personally imprinted with your name, the multi-graphing, the envelope, and postage. It's a bargain if there ever was one, and a profitable one. I wonder if I can still order them from Deere. So anyway, I just thought that letter was cool. And then over here on the page next to it, move the camera over again. Cabinets for keeping gaskets in proper condition. Through the introduction of new models of tractors, take care of farmer requirements and greatly increase number of tractors on a dealer's territory. It is necessary that larger supply gaskets be carried in dealer repair stocks and render the over-the-counter service that the customer expects. So one thing we have to remember that in up to the 1940s, the early 1940s anyway, from the time that, Deere started out when they bought Waterloo Boy in 1918, from there forward, they had one model until the D, and then the D, they added the GP, and then they added the A and the B. And so, you're talking about an infinite number of tractors, more tractors, as you moved away from horse and steam and the big, I don't even know what you call them, but the bigger machines like the Twin Cities and the Altman Taylors, things like that. As you move forward and you started buying the smaller tractors like the D, the A, and the B, there are more and more machines out there, and so dealers had to, they weren't just servicing implements anymore. So this was, we think of this as pretty mundane now for gasket sets, etc. But this was really the first time a company would have to have all of this on hand and have multiple models on hand or parts for multiple models on hand at any one given time. So I'll go ahead and find a couple more in this folder, and then maybe the next video in a couple weeks I'll move forward to the 50s. I'll get through World War II in this episode. So I said I would get through World War II. The first reference to the war, and we have to remember that December 7th, 1941 was the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And the first reference in any John Deere bulletin that I have, I can't remember if I have some earlier stuff and some other binders, but on the 129S, January 15th, 1942, the first mention, so the previous version was December 15th, 1941. The previous, well, that would be 128S. The first mention is right down here, protecting your business with repair parts and service. It says all ideas of business as usual ended on Sunday, December 7th. War materials come first from here on out. You, your farmer customers, and ourselves will have to get along with less than the full amount of equipment we'd all like to have, even though the necessity for more food makes an adequate supply of labor-saving farm equipment more essential than ever. But working a little harder while getting along with a little less will be part of the farmer's contribution to the victory program. This progressive implement dealer will help his farmer customer keep his present equipment in shape by providing adequate supplies of repair parts and service facilities, and thus maintaining goodwill for the day when there's a misspelling, war will be over. And by constant contacts with his customers, and keep a half Nelson on the business with his community for the time when tractors and equipment can again be in unlimited quantities. First step in a proper repair and service is a program is adequate repair stock and I'll have to read from the other page real quick. And a well-equipped service department. These are fundamental. So literally, all of this deals with repair parts. Now, interestingly enough, I found this stapled in here because this right here, it says, renew your old John Deere tractor with a replacement assembly. So everything you need for a Model B engine, or practically everything you need for a Model B engine, it had only $57, and then this was stapled in there. This assembly now sells for $62.75. Wouldn't we all love complete kit to redo a B for $62.75? And then a simplified trade-in schedule, things like that. But that is the first reference to World War II in these bulletins, and there are many, many more references as you move forward. There are actually tons of references as you move forward. One of the things that I find, this is just a personal note, one of the things that I really enjoy reading about is the effort of companies, and I've gone over some World War II bulletins I have before, but the effort that companies made for the war effort, whether they were producing agriculture machinery or whether they were building Jeeps or whatnot. It's just really cool to see the effort. Certainly, I don't think something you would see today. But I'm trying to find another one real quick, and I'm not seeing one per se. Oh, here. On page 3 of the Field Service Bulletin, 129S was a reproduction of a poster to sell overhaul assemblies. This poster showed $57 for a Model B engine replacement assembly, whereas the new price of assembly is $62.75. Price changes were anticipated when the poster was prepared. For this reason, a note reading "price subject to change without notice" was printed, and so with the price, so that dealers would not be forced to sell the engine replacement assemblies at the price appearing on the poster if the special low price had to be increased. So kind of cool that they reference to that, and I'm sure that's why somebody clipped the $62.75 in on the previous page. Just looking over here, so we all know that the Model G, they couldn't make any changes to it because of the war, so they came up with the GM and wiring diagrams for starting and lighting, and also the lighting combination for the new Model GM tractor. So this is all about the model GM tractor, it was produced during the war, wiring diagram, stuff like that. Let's see here, this is 12 volt, 6 volt, and then there's 12 volt over here if you have the starting and lighting equipment. So I think for this tractor, for this video, we are going to call it good here. I don't see anything too exciting as we get through, and I may find a couple more in here, but I think this video is getting long enough. You've probably heard me talk quite enough about this. I do want to say that if you, as I was going through these, I identified a number of duplicates in my collection from where I've had to buy several years worth of these at a time, either on auction or from a private individual, things like that. So what I did is I actually just listed several years worth on the website. If you have an interest in buying them, they're up there. Like I said, that all of that, the sales on the website go to support the website and also go to support the channel. I figured that way you can get something for your money. Also, shameless plug for Patreon. Don't have any Patreons yet. But basically, if you sign up for a yellow tier edition of Patreon, you can email me and I'll give you a coupon code for 10% off every month. So on things in the store. So if you're interested, feel free. If not, that's fine. I'll just keep doing this as I always do. Certainly not a requirement, but thanks for watching.